I'm Kathleen Harvey, and hola. Today I'm going to show you how to make Queso Fresco, or fresh cheese. And it's the simplest cheese in the world. The first thing you do is get a half a gallon of milk and pour it into a pan. Now I'm going to put it on low, you stir it occasionally, just to keep it from burning. Now you can use basically any milk. And in Mexico, they would use raw milk, mostly from Holsteins and Brown Swiss, because those are the most common types of breeds of cows in Mexico. And they would use raw milk, and they would heat it to a temperature of 165 degrees, which you need to heat it up and bring it to a boiling, not quite a boiling point. But if you bring it up to 165, that's hot enough for it to be pasteurized, so it'll kill any bacteria, so it'll be safe to eat. Now, another trick of the trade, I just used a half gallon of milk from our local store, but you've got to make sure it's not ultra pasteurized. What happens is that more proteins are broken down, so when you're heating the milk up again and bringing it up to the temperature, the proteins get broken down even further, and then when you put in your vinegar, it doesn't curdle. So you really got to be careful that you've got to read the labels to that. Now I live on a dairy farm, and my husband milks about 45 jerseys. And I tried this using his milk, and it has a high butter fat. Now it did curdle, it did work well. It had a little sweet taste to it and a little creamier, but it came out kind of stringy. So I decided to go back to use just your standard milk that you get in the store, and I made sure that it wasn't ultra pasteurized. So I'm going to stir here, and I've got a handy dandy thermometer here, and I'm just going to test it, make sure, see where we're at. We're at 93, or 107 now, 112. Using a gas stove really heats it up faster, but here we're getting a nice even heat, 112, we're getting there. You'll be surprised, and it's the coolest thing to do with your kids, your students. Anybody can make this. I'm not a cook, I'm more of a casserole maker and crock pot. My favorite methods, you put a little of this, a little of that, and you see what turns out. Kind of one pot dishes, I just love those. You don't have to dirty a lot of dishes, and you got a great satisfying meal. So I was really leery about making this. I was really nervous about making this because I'm not a baker, I'm not meticulous, but anybody can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. Now if you lived in India, I mean, this is a truly international cheese. If you lived in India, it would be called paneer. And in most English-speaking countries, this is considered a farmhouse cheese. But the cheese making industry is very popular, it's very large. And about 30% of that cheese industry is from artisans cheese. And each region has its own specialty. And they often add ingredients to give it a local flavor with herbs and spices and other things that are found locally. I've tried this with lemon juice and rennet tablets. And rennet tablets, the directions say you need to heat the milk only to about 90, which isn't good for raw milk. But I tried it with some store-bought milk, and it didn't really work very good. I don't know what I did. I tried it a couple times, one using a quarter tablet like the recipe, and then the other time it was a half a tablet, and it still didn't curdle. Then I went to lemon juice because I really like citrusy flavored things. I thought that would be really good. Well, that worked a little bit better, but not as well as the vinegar. They say you need a quarter cup of vinegar, and you add a little bit at a time. But I found you add a little bit, but then I used a little bit more than a quarter cup to make sure I got a good curdle. So I'm going to put that aside just for a second, and I'm going to come over here. I'm turning my corn. One of the popular street food items that you can see in the local markets and outside is Mexican street corn, and I'm going to make some and then add my fresh cheese to it. So while that is cooking, we've got that cooking and we've got this cooking. cheese making has only been 100 years in Mexico. When the Spaniards first brought over dairy breeds back in the 1100s and 1500s, they didn't have good quality feed yet. The Mexicans their primary diet was fruits, vegetables, fish, and fowl. I mean, they lived right by the ocean, so they had plenty of fish. But when the Spaniards brought over the cows, they introduced beef, but they didn't really eat much. They used it for hides and tallow. In June, the feast of Santo Domingo would occur, and that would be a festival of the rainy season. It would rain for 3-4 months, and the rest of the months were very dry. So the milk production was very low, and really only had good milk during those 3 rainy months. But it wasn't until the turn of the 1900s, that they started experimenting and improving growing conditions with alfalfa and hay. So they got better quality feed for their animals, so they were able to produce milk, good milk all year round. So by 1930s, they started making cheese and other dairy products. We are there. I'm going to turn it off and take it out, put it on this pretty cloth. My sister-in-law spends most of her summers in Mexico, and she's always bringing us back some goodies. Okay, I'm going to turn it off now. And you watch this. This is the coolest thing. One at a time. And you can see, gently stir. Now right now there's a faint yellow thing, but you'll see a little bit more in a minute. See the yellow? Let's get the light on here. See the yellow? You can see that starting to separate. See the milk starting to curdle? Isn't that cool? Pour a little bit more. I mean, use your judgment. If you don't think it's going to start, or if it's having trouble, give it a little more. There's nothing that says you have to use a 1/4 cup. Some recipes call for a little bit more. But look at it. You can really see it now separating. I think that's fascinating. There, now you really get a good look. What did that take? Just about a minute. And you're going to let it sit for just a couple minutes. And you can really see the chemical action. The yellow stuff is what they call whey. It's the enzymes left, and all the proteins curdle together. Okay, and in another minute, we're going to go over to the strainer. And we're going to strain all that whey, and going to be left with the curds. So we're going to pretend that we're Miss Muffet here in a minute, eating her curds and whey, and along came a spider and sat beside her and scared Miss Muffet away. But we're not going to be scared. This is so cool. Let's take another look at it. So I'm going to bring it over. Probably should let it sit for another couple of minutes. But see the curdling? Isn't that cool? Kids, if you have kids, they'll absolutely love it. I'm going to pour it right into the strainer. Got cheesecloth. I'm going to put this down here for a minute. So there's still more, but I'm going to lift it up. And you can tell. Just get that extra moisture out. And you can see the whey? That's whey. It's there. And I'm going to, there's your cheese. And I'm going to pour the rest in. I think this is the coolest thing. I was so excited. Like I said, I'm not a great gourmet chef, but you don't have to be. You can just, these are simple, using simple ingredients, simple tools. Whoops. Let me strain here. Excuse me. Get it out good. I'm just going to grab another pot so that you could really see it. Now you don't really need a cheesecloth. You can use a flour sack towel, or you can just use a strainer. If you have even a little finer strainer than that, that'd be good too. But you can get the idea here. And I'm just going to finish putting in the rest. There we go. You can see again the whey. So what to do with the whey? Well, they say it's very good meat tenderizer, and it's very good for you. You can give it to your pets, but use it sparingly because it will give them a bellyache, but they do love it. Now, the longer it sits, the firmer it will get, and you'll really be able to, and you can put it in a ball. I took it out, but there you go. If you want it really firm, wrap it up in the cheesecloth and set a weight out, and that will alleviate a lot of the moisture, and you'll have a nice big ball. But you can really see the cheese. Here, this is the cheese. Isn't that glorious? And like I said, the longer you let it sit and put a weight around it, the firmer it will get. Okay, and you can really see. Isn't that exciting? Now, to make it taste a little better, I mean, it's good, but to give it, put it up a notch, as the chefs do on the Food Network channel, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of jalapenos to give it just a tad, just to give it a kick. Sometimes less is more. And I'm going to sprinkle some chili powder. Now, if this had been sitting for a little while, it would be a little firmer, but I can use, since it's still kind of moist, I'm just going to massage it gently in with a spoon. Okay, there you go. So, what to do with this glorious cheese now that we've made it? Now, there's many things you can do with it. Like I said, you can put it on your tacos, you can put it on bread, you can put it in a watermelon salad. The possibilities are endless. So, but I thought I would make a little authentic Mexican dish to go with, make sure I turn this off here, turn this off, so Mexican dish. Now this is corn that's been charred. You might want it a little longer, but that's all up to you. In Mexico, it would be more charred. And they would take it and put a little la crema on it, or in our case, sour cream. Spread it right on there. Salt to taste. Oh, of course, I forgot about the salt. Again, salt to taste. Give it a little notch there. That's the amount of salt you use is the amount of what you would like to use. There, you can see already it's getting firmer. Isn't that glorious? Just like the Food Network channel here. Put that right there. You take your corn that's been charred or grilled, spread some la crema or sour cream on it. I'm going to sprinkle some cheese. Some cheese with our jalapenos and chili powder. And then for the icing on the cake, as they say, I'm going to juice some lime. Doesn't that look fantastic? Just like they do in the Food Network channels, I'm going to taste it here. Delicious. Really, really good. And it's something that will last for a few days. But it's fresh. You know where the product is made, how it's made, using local ingredients. Again, if you didn't want jalapenos or chili powder, you can put your favorite herbs. I've got to wipe my face here. Herbs, anything. My aunt thought maybe a little bit of lemon juice and dill might go good with it, and I'm sure it would. Whatever, the possibilities are endless. So look out, Food Network. You can have your own cooking show right here in your kitchen, and have a great day.